Good morning, student. Welcome to your history class. Today we are going to start chapter 5, that is the impact of British rule. In this chapter we will discuss about the exploitation of peasants. Exploitation means misuse, ill treatment, growth of transport and industries, the impact of education, social and cultural changes. So let's start. The Queen's proclamation. Proclamation means order had declared that the British government was responsible for the progress and welfare of the people of India. The policies adopted by the British rulers benefited the industrial and commercial interests. Insistence means demand by the British that only cash crops are cultivation of crops like tea, indigo, coffee, etc., which were sold in the world market for cash, for money. These crops take the place of the food grains and destroy the self-sufficient village economy. The power of the zamindars and the wealth of the British increased. The British government looked into the interest of the British and wealthy Indians like zamindars. They also brought English education to the Indian people. So let's start with the first topic, that is economic policies of the British. The British secured political control over their Indian territories. They had to bear the cost of maintaining the administrative structure, war expenses, and funds for the purchase of Indian goods for exporting to England. So the British tried to enhance or increase their income through revenue, through tax. Their policies ruined the traditional Indian economy, which was agro-based, means which was agriculture based. Agriculture and handicrafts were the main occupation of the majority of people in India. Land revenue was collected by the landlord or by the officials appointed by the king. Now, the British policies until 1793, the first is Izadari system. The East India Company obtained the Diwani. Diwani means to collect tax of Bihar, Bengal and Orissa in 1765, and they continued with the traditional methods of revenue collection. The officials of the company usurped huge amounts from the peasants, unofficially, which added to their personal wealth. However, this system failed because Bidders, bidding was often not related to the actual productivity of the land. The Izadars were not interested in making improvements in the land or in the agriculture. The contractors exploited the peasants, means misused the peasant to extract more and more taxes. Second is the permanent settlement. Lord Cornwallis introduced a permanent settlement in Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. According to this system, the landowners or the zamindars obtained hereditary. Hereditary means that transferred from generation to generation rights over their land. The farmers were reduced to the status of tenants. According to this settlement, the company was assured a regular income during adverse climatic condition like floods. The new landlords became a class of loyalties for the company. The British could use the new landlords for consolidating. Consolidating means to make stronger something. Their political authority, income of the company increased. Now, what was the effects on the peasants? The first one is the peasants had to pay the revenue even if the crops failed. They were forced to borrow money from the moneylender at a high interest. In many places, moneylenders replaced the old landlords who took no interest in improving agriculture production. The method of cultivation continued as neither the British nor the landlords took any interest in improving agriculture methods or zealots. In order to gain maximum revenue, the farmers were forced to cultivate cash crops like indigo, coffee, instead of rice or wheat. The next system is the Rotwari settlement. The governor of the Madras province, that is Sir Thomas Munro, introduced the system of Rotwari settlement in Madras. According to this system, the peasants were considered the owner of the land and the land revenue was collected directly from them. The next settlement was the Mahalwari settlement. This system was introduced in western Uttar Pradesh, parts of Madhya Pradesh and Punjab. Under this system, the land revenue settlement was made for the entire state. The talukdar, means the head of the village, had to collect the revenue from the villages and hand it over to the company. Next topic is effect of revenue policies on agriculture. The British experimented with various land revenue settlements in different parts of the country, all of which were aimed at extracting the maximum revenue. Land became a saleable commodity because in times of need the peasant could mortgage or sell it. Mortgage means a practice in which a person has to offer something as a security for the money that is lent by the landlord. Bigari means bonded labor increased as the peasants were forced to sell their land due to the high rate of revenue. Agriculture continued to be stagnant as neither the British nor the landlords took steps to improve it. They did not provide irrigation facilities, seeds, fertilizers, and did not try to educate the farmers. The self sufficiency of the villages was destroyed because most of the villages were dependent on agriculture. Famines means scarcity of food continued to be a regular feature as land productivity fell. Moving forward to next topic, that is commercial policy of the British. The British de-established the Indian economy by their extreme greed and demand for wealth. They also created many obstacles. Obstacles means hurdles or block the way of our country's industrialization. These can be summed up as the effects of the British commercial policies. East India Company's monopoly, monopoly means controlled by a single company or one company, came to an end and Indian trade was open to all British subjects. As a result, the Indian market was flooded with imported goods. Indian handicrafts had to face stiff competition with the influx of British goods which were exempt from import duties. And company's rule under the company's rule, Indian handicraft industry, especially the textile industry, declined steadily, means slowly. Both the income generated from it and the people financially dependent on the industry were adversely affected. This process of destruction of the indigenous industries is known as deindustrialization. Next topic is exploitation of artisans. Exploitation means ill treatment, misuse. Before the British came to India, the Indian rulers and nobles used to give substantial patronage to Indian handicrafts. Majority of craftsmen were forced to give up their livelihood and look for alternative employments as landless laborers or farmland or as a workers. Workers were burdened with problems like low wages, long working hours, and unhygienic working and living conditions. According to an estimate, the per capita income in 1947 was rupees 228 per year which works out to be less than a rupee a day. Drain of wealth. There was rapid, means fast expansion in foreign trade in the 20th century as a result of the introduction of railways, better road linkage, but there was no improvement in the Indian economy. This was because the British government followed a one-sided trade policies which exempted, means free, the British goods from paying any duty, means any tax on entering India, but levied high custom duties, means high tax on Indian goods entering England. People preferred to buy English goods which were cheaper. So the British companies made profits and transferred this wealth of India into Britain. Dadabhai Naoroji presented a deep study on this, that is the drain of wealth to Britain, in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Education policy of British. Education in India was mainly religious in nature and a privilege for the rich and the upper caste of society. There were pathshalas and madrasas in which a few students were taught by their teacher. There was neither any fixed curriculum nor any system of examination. Three subjects, that is Sanskrit, Persian and mathematics, were very popular. The company took its first step towards education with the Charter Act of 1830. Lord Macaulay, a law minister in the Governor General's Council, was insistent that Western education should be imparted through the medium of English. In 1835, the government decided to impart Western education in India through the medium of English language. The government announced that Indians educated in British school would be considered for government jobs. Next topic is Wood's Dispatch. In 1854, the government declared its intention of creating a properly articulated system of education from primary to the university stage. Sir Charles Wood sent a dispatch to the Governor General of India, Lord Dalhousie, with some recommendations. Recommendations means advice. This is famous as the Wood's Dispatch and also known as the Magna Carta of Indian education. The recommendations of the Wood's Dispatch were setting up of education departments in the main province. Universities should to be set up in each of the towns of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. Private schools and colleges were to be given government grants. A new service, that is called Indian Educational Service, was to be introduced. At least one government school was to be opened in every district. Local languages along with English were to be made the medium of instruction at the school stage and English at the college stage. Here you can see the picture of Charles Wood and Lord Dalhousie. So the last topic of the chapter is drawbacks of English education. The growth of the education was not uniform at all levels and more attention was paid to the expansion of high schools and colleges. Primary schools suffered because of the lack of funds or money. The British did not pay any attention to the education of women or promoting higher studies in science and technology. Only three medical colleges were set up in Calcutta, Madras and Bombay, which with admissions being restricted to Europeans. So student, this is all about chapter 5, the impact of British rule. In this chapter we discuss about different impact of British rule and in education policy is one of them. And English education did bring Indians into contact with rational and scientific ideas or with developments in science and technology. Indians became familiar with the writing of the great philosopher which inspired the Indian national movement. English emerged as the common language among educated Indians, which helped to spread new ideas among people living in different parts. So I hope this video helped you to understand the chapter in a better way. Thank you for watching.